first realized I was black when I was 6 years old. I remember like having my first girlfriend and everything. She kind of also had a crush on my cousin, and I remember her liking my cousin a little bit more than she liked me, although she was my girlfriend. And when I was talking to some of my relatives, and a possible reason they gave for that, not a possible, but definite reason they gave for that was because she liked him because he was more light skinned than me. I think I first started to have a problem with my race at the age of 8, and I left Haiti and moved to America, moved to Jersey City, and I just remember my experience being integrated into the African American culture to not be such a pleasant one. And it's kind of like all the stereotypes of African Americans not wanting to be associated with other black minorities was just really catastrophic towards my development at that age. And I just remember not really appreciating or wanting the company of African Americans. Just I did a study abroad experience in Japan, and I remember it was just a regular day at the grocery store, and I think I came across this little girl, probably no more than 5 years old if I had to ballpark it. And I think the first time she saw me, it was probably the first time she ever saw a black person, and she kind of started crying, and it was just like ridiculous, obscene to me, and I didn't take it personal. I didn't actually know what to think, what to say, or anything, but I remember my host family just like laughing, and that kind of probably helped me not take offense to it. And I wasn't someone who easily took offense to begin with, but um, she started crying, and so her parents kind of carried her in the car and tried to avoid me a little bit. And the little girl, after her little spill of pride, she just kind of, kept looking at me. Whatever aisle her parents would take her in, her eyes would just like keep crossing and looking for me. And it got to the point where she was so curious about who I was that she asked her parents to like take her over and meet me and like whatever. So when her parents came over, I didn't speak Japanese that well, and her parents didn't speak English that well. So my host family were doing their best to translate, and we were kind of meeting, and um, I don't know why, but we kind of ended up shaking hands. I was shaking hands with the little girl, and she was just so amazed and seemed so. She made me feel like I was such a complex being, and I think at that moment I did not know how to quite translate that experience. But later on, kind of made me really appreciate being black and really understanding the strength behind my skin complexion, the complexity behind it, and also its flaws and everything that it is. So, for starters, I think Jean-Michel Basquiat is probably the guy who I'm most appreciative of, just because his black wasn't anything that was strong, it wasn't anything that was beautiful or anything. His black just was. He just knew who he was and was comfortable with that. And along with Jean-Michel Basquiat, I think Prophet Dufault was just an amazing artist who understood his people and what he was trying to accomplish and get across through a cultural perspective. And Nina Simone, Grace Jones are probably two of the most influential women I know, who just not only helps you understand your sexuality and who you are, what you have to offer, but your potential. And I think the last two people I have would be Robert Moses and Ruby Bridges, just because to be 6 years old and go into all white school and just have that strength, I think that's something I take from just being part of a predominantly white institution. It's kind of just, it shows you the strength of one person at 6 years old and makes you kind of feel like at 20 something you could do it too.